yourself, Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. It's time to work on Carnival clue number 4. We're getting close to that halfway mark, but not quite there yet. And we've got spooky season starting to come to an end, unfortunately, because Halloween is just a few days away from today. Makes me sad that we're going to be wrapping up spooky season, but I'm going to enjoy the last few days of it as much as possible. Carnival is a fun puzzle mystery quilt so far, and I'm excited to see how these pieces look as we put them together. And then we hit our halfway point next month in November. Also, don't forget, in November we get the big reveal of Village Green. I'm hoping to be a part of that for Cotton Cuts, so make sure to stay tuned to Cotton Cuts social media. I'm sure they will let you know what time, when, where, all the details of the big reveal, so make sure to check out their social media and get ready for that big reveal of Village Green. So exciting. Also, we will soon-ish, I should say, get to know what the next puzzle mystery quilt will be. They usually do the reveal of what it is at the big reveal of the previous one, so we're going to be switching over. I'm getting tongue-tied. We're going to be switching over to our next puzzle mystery quilt here very soon. Sign-ups happen in December. Again, stay tuned to the Cotton Cuts Puzzle Mystery Quilt social media for more information on that. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's go ahead and get started with clue number 4 of Carnival. All right, I have my color guide as always for Petting Zoo. I have the instructions for the large quilt, and this is clue number 4, of course. And then I have my clue packet number 4, so let's go ahead and open it up and see what is included. First up, we have 6 small triangles of E fabric. We have 8 small triangles of F fabric. We have 14 small triangles of A fabric. There are 14 small triangles of C fabric. We have 16 small triangles of D fabric and 22 small triangles of B fabric. That's a lot of B fabric. Along with that, we have 4 large triangles of D fabric, 4 large triangles of B fabric, 4 large triangles of A fabric, and last but not least, we have 4 squares of A fabric. So that's all the fabric that's included in this one. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna put it, not you, I'm gonna put it on the table next to me, and then we'll go ahead and get started with step number 1. All right, starting off with step number 1 on section 4A. So we'll be making 4 of section 4A, and the instructions below tell us how to make all of the sections that we need, all 4, at the same time. And we're back into those point steps again. Here we go with step number 1.1. It says to join a small triangle of E to a small triangle of B. We're going to do that, and then we're going to press it towards our B fabric. 1.2 says to join a small triangle of F to a small triangle of D. We're going to do that and press it towards our D fabric. We're going to move to 1.3, and it says to join a small triangle of B to a small triangle of F. We're going to press it towards our B fabric. And then for 1.4, we're going to join a small triangle of D to a small triangle of C, and we're going to press that towards our D fabric. So we're going to be making 4 of each of these half square triangles, and then we'll be moving on to step 2. So I'm going to go ahead and sew all of these together, and I'll come back when we're moving on to step 2. All right, moving on to step 2. I've completed all of step 1. We're now moving on to step 2, and it says for 2.1 to sew a step 1.2 to the top of a step 1.1. So here is my 1.1, which is the B, E, and I'm going to sew that underneath. I have to look at all the diagrams and everything on this. This is going to be 2.1, which is our, 2.1. I'm getting so confused. Sorry. All right, let's start over again. 1.1, which is the B and E, we are going to sew underneath a 1.2, which is our D, F. The diagrams really help with this, so I'm going to sew these together just like that. For step 2.2, we're going to sew a step 1.4, which is our DC to the top of a step 1.3, which is our BF. So it's going to look like this. It gets really confusing when you're looking at this because there's none that match up really, other than you'll notice that our B fabrics are facing outwards and our D fabrics are facing outwards. So once we complete step 2.2, we move to step 2.3. By the way, we're going to be pressing our 2.1 down, our 2.2 up, and then for 2.3, we're going to join this all together to make this shape that you see here. We're going to sew those together and we're going to press towards the left. And we're going to be making 4 of these in total. So I'm going to go ahead and sew all these together, and I'm going to come back when I'm pressing out the last of step 2.3. But you should have everything in shape. It should look like this. Remember that our B fabric faces outwards and our D fabric faces outwards. Our F fabric is going to be diagonal to itself in this shape. All right. Is that confusing enough for you? All right, I'm going to go ahead and sew this together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I've sewn all those together, and now I'm pressing towards the left side of this block. Your center points are going to want to fight you a little bit, but whoops, you can make it happen. I'm just knocking everything down. Stay. All right, so there we go. There is a completed step 2.3 to be exact. Let's go ahead and move on to step 3. All right, moving on to step 3.1, it says to join a small triangle of A to a small triangle of C. We're going to do that 4 times, and then for step 3.2, we're going to go ahead and sew a square of A to the right of a step 3.1. 4 of these in total, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and sew all these together, and I'll come back when I'm pressing out step 3.2. All right, I have sewn all 4 of those together, and we're pressing towards our A square. I think I didn't mention in the clip just for this, but we pressed our half square triangle also to the A fabric, so everything presses basically towards the right. Look at that, these dots are right next to, how cool did that end up looking? Anyways, all right, so there is step 3. Let's move on to step 4. Moving on to step 4, it says to join a step 3.2 to the bottom of a step 2.3. Wow, how confusing is that? And we're going to make 4 of them. Basically, we're just adding what we just created onto the bottom here, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and make 4 of these, and I'll come back when I'm pressing them out. Okay, I've sewn all 4 of those together, and we're pressing towards the top. Basically, we're following kind of the arrow that is formed with our E and F fabric. So it looks like this when we're all done. Whoops, see, I just keep knocking everything over today. All right, there we go. So there is our step 4. Let's move on to step 5. All right, moving on to step 5, it says to join a small triangle of A to the top right of a medium triangle of B. We're going to press and then add a second smaller triangle of A to the top left, and we're going to make 4 of these. So we're making flying geese now. And we're going to be using our A fabric and our B fabric to form the flying geese. I'm going to go ahead and sew all 4 of these together, and I'll come back when I'm pressing them out. Okay, I've sewn all 4 of those together. We're pressing away from our B fabric towards our A fabric. I think on all 3 of these flying geese, we're going to be pressing away from our center fabric. All right, there we go. We're completed with step 5. Let's move on to step 6. All right, moving on to step 6, we're basically doing the flying geese again. This time we're going to be using B fabric on our points and our D fabric for the center. So again, you're going to start in the top right, put on your B triangle, then you're going to press, and then you're going to come back and add in the second B triangle, small B triangle on the top left, just like that. We're going to make 4 of these in total. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back when I'm pressing out the final part. Okay, I have sewn all 4 of those flying geese together. We press away from our D fabric towards our B fabric. A little disappointed, I didn't get a single hedgehog on these D fabric pieces, but that's okay, no big deal. Just would have been a perfect place to put one. Oh well, anyways, moving on to step number 7. Moving on to step number 7, we're doing the same thing again, but this time we're going to have our D fabric making up the left and right corners, and then our A fabric in the center. I'm going to go ahead and put all 4 of these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. All right, I have pressed all, well, I'm pressing my last one here, but I have sewn all of them together. So there we go. There is our A and D flying geese. I'm going to go ahead and move on to step number 8. All right, moving on to step number 8. This is going to be very easy because you're going to line up the fabrics. Basically, we're going to sew a step 6 to the top of a step 7, and then we're going to add a step 5 to the top. So basically, it's just going to line up like that. I didn't do it in the right order, but you'll know that you are in the right direction when you have your chevrons formed by your D fabric and your B fabric, bookended by our A fabric on the top and the bottom, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and sew all of these together, and we'll move on to step 9. Okay, I've sewn all 3 of those flying geese together, just like so, and we're pressing upwards, so we're following the direction that the chevrons are going in. There we go. We have completed step number 8. Let's move on to step number 9. Okay, moving on to step number 9, it says to rotate step 8 so that the medium triangles point downwards, then join it to the right of a step 4. And if you've done it correctly, your B fabric will line up and match, and your D fabric will line up and match, just like you see here on mine. I'm going to go ahead and sew all these together, and then I'll come back when it's time to press it out. I'm going to be focusing on, when I put these together, I'm going to be focusing on making sure, this one didn't quite, I need to press this one a little bit better, but these seams do nest, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be nesting these seams as I'm putting it together, so that way, hopefully, my rows will match up nicely. All right, there we go. I have sewn all 4 of those together. I'm pressing towards the left of my block. I gotta say, this block feels kind of weird because we've got some weird directions going on, and I worried that I had it go in the wrong direction and all of the craziness, but it looks, there's definitely some patterns there, like our A fabric fits nicely, B fabric, D fabric, it all fits in nicely. It has a little weirdness over here just because of the way the fabrics are arranged, but I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. Anyways, that completes step 9. I'm going to be labeling these as 4A. Let's go ahead and move on to putting together section 4B. Okay, we're going to move on to section 4B, step 1. Before we get started, I do want to mention that as I was laying out the fabric for this, I realized that I did not have all of my A fabric. I was missing 2 A fabric triangles. So Cotton Cuts did send along an oops kit with my puzzle mystery quilt pieces, and so I just dug into that and went ahead and created the missing triangles that I needed for this portion. But if you're ever missing pieces, and if you don't have an oops kit, or even if you do, feel free to reach out to the team at Cotton Cuts, send them an email, let them know that you were missing pieces, and they will make it right. They will send out the pieces as soon as they can, so that way you can continue on with your mystery. I'm glad I did have that oops kit, so I was able to replace those. But moving on to step number 1, it says to join a small triangle of B to a small triangle of A. We're going to make 2 of those. On 1.2, we're going to join a small triangle of C to a small triangle of B. We're going to make 4 of those. And then for 1.3, we're going to join a small triangle of E to a small triangle of C, and we're going to make 2 of those. So it's 2, 4, and 2. I'm going to go ahead and sew all those together, and I'm going to come back when it's time to move on to step 2. All right, I have put all of step 1 together. We're moving on to step 2, and it says to sew a step 1.2, which is the BC, to the top of a step 1.1, which is our BA. So we're going to put them together so that way the B is touching like so. Then for step 2.2, we're going to sew together a step 1.3 to the top. The 1.3 is our E and C. On top of a step 1.4, which is our C and B. And again, our C fabric is going to be touching just like that. I'm going to go ahead and sew all these together, and then we'll move on to step 3. Okay, I've completed that. Step 2.1, we're going to press towards the top, 2.2 down to the bottom, so that way they nest together, because on step 3, we're going to join step 2.2 to the right of a step 2.1. We're going to make 2 of these in total, so your C fabric should line up and your B fabric should line up just like this. I'm going to go ahead and sew these 2 together, and I'll come back when I'm doing the final press. Okay, I've sewn both of these together, and now I'm pressing towards the side that has the E fabric in it, like so, and there's a lot of bulk there in the center, no big deal. All right, so there is our 2 section 4B. So it looks like this whenever we're done. I'm going to go ahead and label them as 4B, and we'll be done with with clue number 4. So here we go. Here is our section 4A and then our section 4B. I am so excited to see, as we get closer to the halfway point, what all these clues look like. They all, I feel like, very similar. Usually there's a little bit of variation in the Puzzle Mystery Quilt, but these have felt very similar for some reason, and I can't wait to see what it finally looks like, but that's off in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and pack these away, and we'll get ready for month 5 next month.